afternoon, ready for some Google Sheets. So if you're doing this on a weekend, you're like me and you love data. So we're going to have some fun. Go right ahead and eat, Georgina. You're just fine. But if you guys are joining, we do need to get some faux data to play with in a little bit. So I'm going to put that link again to the Pear Deck in the chat right there. And I am going to grab this to direct Google form link too in just a second so that we can easily get everybody in as needed. Let's go to my form. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, so fill out that form. I'm going to go ahead and get started while you're doing that. All right, so there's that link again for the form on the Pear Deck, and it'll also be on the next slide here. So that's me with much shorter hair. It's grown out some longer, which is nice. And my name actually is Kat Flippen. Very proud of that name. I was a former high school teacher, and now I am a district instructional technology coordinator in Jackson County, which is like an hour and a half, or an hour and 15 really, northeast of Atlanta. And I'm a very proud Georgia girl. And you're welcome to Google search my name if you ever want a good example of a digital footprint for any students. It's a lot of fun to go and visit all that. All right, so I want to give you some examples first before you dive in, and also give you more time to fill out the form if you can. All right. Oh, but first, if you are on the Pear Deck, I do like to kind of get a good sense of how you're feeling. So if you can circle how you feel right now, because it is a weekend, go ahead and give me a circle there on a scale of cat. And I did that on purpose because of my name. And if you're just listening in, go right ahead. We're going to go ahead and take a nice little pulse check here and see how people are feeling with a layer. Excellent, excellent. I'm the happy cat as well. Purple who circled in blue. Good job. Purple who circled in black. I can feel that very strongly. That speaks to my soul after this week because we're about to have Thanksgiving here in the United States. And the kids this week have been a little insane. So I feel that. All right, so here's a quick overview, and it looks like a lot, but it goes fast because we just got 20 minutes of awesomeness here. So I want to preach to you why do we have to wait for data when we can just show it live in a way that actually makes sense and makes people who don't necessarily understand data happy. And then we're going to actually get some hands-on practice with this. And those of you who are just joining, I'm going to pop in the link again for the Pear Deck so you're able to see it. There you go. And then we're going to have some final thoughts and some questions. All right, so you ready for lots of links? Things that you can save as a reference for the people if you're a cheats champion like I am. So here we go. So first, I want to take y'all to a couple examples. So you have what I call a roll call. We give, for the past 6 years now, a survey via Google Forms. That's quite a lengthy, in-depth survey that basically assesses all of our teachers' value and professional learning need for everything we purchase, digitally and for curricula, non-digital. So I'm going to take a look there, and you'll see that they don't see the responses. That's the whole point. Is the form responses for this is insane. It's basically up to cell, I think, MX in a Google Sheet, and that's very, very hard to navigate for some people, and they're not going to be able to understand the data. So yeah, this is much better for teachers and principals, especially school leaders, to be able to come in here and see, okay, well, I got 383 people who've participated. Here are my school breakdown, right? And then the value chart. So what's cool about Google Sheets is right here, I can scroll over each of these and kind of see how that's broken down. Right, so take a look at that when you get a chance. You're welcome to look at this later. The IDK chart is that I don't know what this is chart. That was really important for us too to figure out. Well, we tell people about this, but are they going to see it? So again, you don't see this giant form in the back end, but they watch this in real time. So for an example, I have the link right here for the live data. We just launched our roll call for 2023 or 2022-2023 school year. So you actually can come in and watch. Oh, I got to go put it public. But once it's there, you're actually going to go see the data in real time for the next 4 weeks. If you're curious, it will actually add in real time. And that's where we actually send our teachers to go look at everything. All right. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to pop them in the chat too. Data is really so important in strategic decisions, but also making data pretty. I learned a really cool term called data architecture recently. And that's literally what all this is putting it in a pretty format, right? So another way, if you're somebody who likes to gamify professional learning, you can really easily take, and I left the data, the messy data open on the end here. So all of this actually comes from we're going to talk about today, an import range that comes from a Google form. But then here, I organize this in a pretty way. Isn't that cool? So you're able to do like a some sort of a player versus player leaderboard ranking, or students. This is great for kids, right? You can also do anonymous things. So that's another example of how you can use certain formula, right? So like I can click here, right? You can see it's a query right there under Allen. So you can go and play with those and see what they look like. And I want to give y'all some historical snapshots. I know that we don't want to talk about COVID, but COVID gave us an opportunity to leverage the data architecture, right? The Google Sheets, but making it pretty and doing dashboards to really make our life much easier. So we actually use Google Sheets and forms to fill out and submit all of the COVID reporting we had to do for the Department of Public Health. And also we generated a weekly community report that we posted on our website. So here, and all of this is faux data. So, don't worry about seeing any actual real data. That's the weekly report. All of our nurses and our school leaders went to that tab, and it's all automated with some serious like formula. But all the formula are some of the stuff that we're gonna go over today, basically, just those formula. But it does the math for you. We had people the first year who were doing it by hand, like every Thursday, and it took hours upon end. And we're able to leverage it to this snapshot right here, and then literally program it so they could see the previous week too. And then our weekly report generator, we actually had this downloadable. So we made it so everything from row 1 to 27 downloaded into this PDF report. Then we posted on our website. So that really helped massively. And I left open some of the historical stats, some of the other views that we had. A helper sheet. Here's where all the data kind of inputs, and you can see how crazy it gets. But we don't want them to see that stuff. You don't. You just want to see this front-loading stuff, right? Because if I'm a principal or if I'm a parent, I want to see something that's easy to understand. And then I also split them off into school-specific sheets that only the nurses and school leaders saw. So what you don't see behind the scenes is an import range. Like I pull in all this messy, like just Google Forms straight up from a Google Form stuff, and I make it into this. So they literally can track week by week and semester by semester the current reports from the district level. So nobody's doing anything by hand, no information is lost, but everybody is getting accurate real-time data right then and there. I know, right? Import range, Gwen? Amen. All right, so I have a couple more examples. Another historical snapshot, and this was specifically for our school leaders, because we had kids who were opting in to distance learning and parents who were opting in, and they needed numbers ASAP. So that's what I made right there. And you don't see, again, you hide all the other sheets, but how awesome is it if I'm a teacher at Gum Springs or a principal at Gum Springs Elementary, I can go really quick and see, all right, look at this. I'm definitely going to have a full class at first grade. I'm going to have a full class at third grade, right? That's great for planning for teachers to go ahead and get everybody in there and figure things out for the new year. And they don't have to do the math themselves. You're making it pretty in a dashboard format. And I know that it's very popular right now to talk about, it's not Data Studio anymore. Is it Data Looker? They renamed it to Looker, didn't they? Yes. Well, you don't have to use that or Tableau or anything else. You don't have to be that spiffy. You can use something like this. All right. And then one more here is a Chromebook usage dashboard. So I can come here if I'm a tech director, an instructional technology person, or even as a school leader, I can get a good idea of how my kids are using Chromebooks throughout the day. Now, this is historical right here. I didn't want to give you accurate real-time stuff because I didn't want to see it myself on a Saturday. But you can see everything is automated. Again, everything is using Amplified IT's Chrome Gopher, and it all pulls in and updates every day. So I don't have to think about it once it's done. It's just there, and I can go and look and see how everything is going. So those are just some quick snapshots you have links to, thanks to the Pear Deck. And the last one I want to show y'all, let's see if I might not be able to show y'all right now, but in the interest of time, I just made for West Jackson Middle School a leave reporting system. So with our bookkeeper. So now the bookkeeper was doing everything via paper, had to have to go principal sign off and then get everything approved. It's now all automated. It's not a dashboard, but by setting up clean sheets that have these formulas specifically, then you can do something like a formula and do a mail merge and get everything going really fast. So having really key formula is really important, and having clean sheets is really important so that you can make these processes happen. Oh yes, the charts. So Tom was saying in the chat that I love Google Sheets charts and sites. Looks great. I love the fact that they have it so you can just insert. You don't have to do the embed stuff. It just does it naturally. Love that too. Amen to that. All right. So are you guys ready to play a little bit? All right. So let's get a little bit of hands-on. If you come back to the Pear Deck with me or the Google Meet tab, no, you need the Pear Deck. You have to go back and forth with me. So you're going to go back and forth between Pear Deck and Google Meet. But go ahead and go to the Pear Deck and click on that link here for the forced copy. So go ahead and open that for me. All right, you're going to make a copy of a spreadsheet. Now you can use it as a reference. Oh, look at the data. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So this is what you get, right? When you have a Google form that gets, there's a timestamp that you don't necessarily need. Everything's kind of messy. Here's my big rule, personal from doing a ton of stuff when it comes to automating sheets and forms, right? Is don't touch the form responses tab. Don't put anything in here, no formula, anything. I know that the last thing we're talking about is array formula, and that helps automate stuff. But my best recommendation is always keep this clean, because then next year or next semester or whenever you reuse it, it's super easy to just clear the data here and keep on going. You don't have to go and make a copy of the sheet over and over and over again. You can just keep using the same thing, right? So that's just personal advice. But if y'all want to go ahead and go to that first tab where it says Fun with Query, some of y'all are probably already a little more advanced than others. But if you're new to Sheets and you're jumping in here, you know, Query is basically the basic. All that stuff that you just saw runs almost everything I do, everything. I love Query. And Query is how you essentially take something from that form responses and push it off into another tab. This is the first thing I think I ever learned with Sheets, right? So if you want to practice it, you can take this formula and copy it, come down to 6 or A6, type an equal sign, and then paste that formula and hit enter. And of course, it's going to say reference. Oh, wait, I know why. Form responses 1. That's why. Oh, I wanted you to go change that. Do me a favor. In the tab in the bottom, this is, those of you who do Sheets, you know exactly what just happened. You know, sometimes when you have spaces between tab names and it causes a problem. You have to do this random like apostrophe. I don't have time for that. So a good life skill, other than not touching this form responses tab, is renaming it as something that's all the words smushed together, right? So come down to form responses at the bottom, and next to where it says form responses 1, there's a little caret down. Click on that little triangle and do rename. And I want you to rename that to just form responses. Just like that. And so now when you come to Fun with Query, you take that formula, you copy, do equals and paste it, boom. And now everything looks pretty. You have it formatted exactly how you want it. You have it nice with some automated kind of row colors. And so that is Query in the short of it. And we're gonna go fast, but you're gonna have this sheet as reference moving forward. So let's look at Query with alpha order, because sometimes you want to reorder things with alpha. All right, so I want you in A6 to change B to D, right? Because this is basically saying select all the columns and I want to sort by such a letter or such column descending. So here I'm actually going to change it to last name, right? Sorting by last name. So when I come here to A6, I'm going to double click on that, or you can do it up here in the cell, changing that B to a D, there. Now I notice that it's a little off, so I can always change descending to ascending. So I put a note in there for you too, so you can vice versa. Let's see, did I do that right? Order by B is, oh, well, it's because of blank rows. Okay, now let's do the next one, the query with limitations. So add column I to the selected column list. If you don't need every column, notice I haven't had the timestamp. I understand timestamps are great, but sometimes they just get in the way of the data and they look kind of funky, right? So here I'm only pulling from that form responses B, C, D, and G, H, and I. And all I'm going to do is come in here to select. So that's pulling those columns, right? And I think I already had I added for you for the interest of time. But I can go and change that and take that off. And you'll see that that row goes away. By the way, those of you who are pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows, I adore you. I have 2 little girls, so there's a song like that. Don't Google search it now. You will hate me for the rest of the day. All right, but everything that you saw earlier, I ran from almost exclusively from import range. So not only did I not touch the form responses themselves, but I pulled everything from there into a separate sheet because rights. Like I want to lock that down so only certain people have access to the form responses for editing. So import range is important. So if you haven't used this before, you can practice this with me. So the last 2 pieces are really important here, right? This is clutch. So if you're on your import range, click on where it says open me first. All right. So make sure you have that somewhere in your drive, add it to your drive. All right. And see, I already have it written right here for you. And all I want you to do in cell A7 is put an equal sign in front of it and click enter. Now what's going to happen for most of you that didn't happen for me is that it's going to ask you to confirm the data, right? So if a little button pops up, click that button. All right. I'm telling y'all, because one thing about data architecture in particular, when it comes to this, especially in a school system, everybody's hungry for data, right? We're an NWEA map system, for example, and we're starting to do some of this with our map scores. But then you have your instructional coaches and your APIs who are like, I want my own data. I want to manipulate my own data. Well, fine. You can't have the district data, right? We have to keep some of that, personally identifiable information away from you that are not your students in your school. So by having everything in a separate location and then putting everything via import range into something else, you can manipulate it well and let them see whatever they need to see and put in whatever filters you need to filter and go from there, right? It protects that data too. All right, and we're going to skip a little bit. I want to go really quick to if statements. An if statement is basically like if this equals this, right? I'm sure we've all learned those at some point in ELA and in English language arts or whatever class you take that teaches you that wonderful grammar piece. So if you have this, but notice you have to copy it over and over and over again, right? So I have like if C6 equals Netflix, put a yes or a no, right? So yes if it is, no if it's not. So I would take this from C6, I would just copy it. And what's really cool about Google Sheets, it'll change things for you. So it'll just automatically change to the next row, to the next row. You can keep on copying, keep on copying, keep on copying. Well, that's not very automated, is it? So here's the key before we wrap this up, right? It's kind of like my mic drop. And I'll say this for a long time. For the longest time, I wasn't a fan of this. And a really good friend of mine told me that's not smart. You need to use array formula. So by putting, all you have to do, y'all, all you have to do is put array formula in front of it. Okay. And then you have to change C6 through C. There we go. So by changing that, and I really should have put that reference up here, C6 through C. But I'll change that. I have y'all. So what's really nice about Pear Deck is I have all y'all's contact information, so I can send that fix to you. But by doing C6 through C, putting that there with the array formula in front of it, you'll see that it automatically puts that in for me. So I don't have to do it. Like the whole point is automating everything, right? So that was really fast. I just want to give you a copy of the sheet to play with because it has all that stuff already there for you. I have a Google Doc that says form of formulas for that purpose because I'm not going to go recreate the wheel and just go copy what I've done before. Right? So we've done all those, and I want to make sure you have any questions. We have literally, I think, a minute left. That was really rapid sheets in a really quick time frame, but play with the data and have fun. And y'all are always welcome to geek out with me and send me a message. Or if Twitter is still alive in the future, you're welcome to connect with me on Twitter. Y'all have any questions?
Yeah, thank you massively for sharing loads of stuff there. People know I like sheets as well and the formulas. So really nicely presented. Well done.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's fun to geek out with other people on a Saturday.